All right, for segment one today, we're going to kick off a new series where we talk about Coriolis, the Third Horizon. This is a game that I have never read through beginning to end. That might surprise you. I have never, even to this day, even starting this series, I have not read this book from beginning to end. So this series can be kind of, it's going to cure that, I guess. But I have read various parts of it. I have done test runs of the game. I have done some mock combats of the game in the past. Hell, I have a combat video for this game. I also have a character creation video for this game, so you can check it. I have a faction video for this game. So you can check those out if you want. Maybe I'll put those in the description below. But we are now going to start, and we're going to go from beginning to end, and we are going to talk about Coriolis, the Third Horizon today, starting with, well, the introduction. The core values of #RPGate and any good tabletop group are escapism, not representation, entertainment over activism, and natural, organic inclusion, not forced diversity. Please follow that QR code or refer to the description below for the link to the charity we support, which is the Wounded Warrior Project. Thursdays and Saturdays, you can watch the Dirty Casuals on twitch.tv/Legion of Myth. Fridays and Sundays, you can watch the Friday Night Chill Stream and RPG Digest on our YouTube and Rumble channels. Please leave us a comment with your thoughts and experiences, and if you like our gaming content, please be sure to subscribe to Legion of Myth. All right, there we go. Let's get that off the screen. Don't need that anymore. Boop. There is our Coriolis book. It's F11, that bad boy. Make it just a touch bigger for you. There we go. Coriolis. Right here, nice hardcover. Hopefully you can still get it in hardcover. I don't know. I'm going to start off by saying that like a typical Coriolis or a typical Free League book that's all color, like Alien, Coriolis, and a few others, this book is substandard. It looks fantastic. It's absolutely amazing art. I don't know even what page I'm opening up to. It's very well done. Except for the book itself. I don't know if you can see close to it. And it's not like it's a favorite book of mine.
Coming off already, yeah. Yep.
It's every color printing for Free League does that. The black and white ones don't. Black and white ones are perfect.
Yeah, I think Free League and Modifius use the same people, because all of my Modifius books that are color and have the cool shiny paper, the same thing. The pages just separate from the binding.
Edgelord, it publishes it. I think it's a different actual designer, though. I could be wrong about that. Also, we'll talk about them, but I don't want to pull them out again. I do have the Coriolis cards. And you can see it's a nice big deck of cards for... What's this one? Oh, the icons, which we'll talk about later. There we go. I have a character sheet ready to show you if I have to. That'll probably be in the next video, though. So this one should just be the introduction. So let's dive into Coriolis and find out what this game is about. There is the map of the Third Horizon. And one of the things I'm going to do with this series that I didn't do with the last one so much is I am not going to answer any forward-facing questions. What does that mean?
Forward-facing questions. Yeah.
What that means is if we cover it here, I'll answer it, but I'm not going to give any spoilers for Chapter 7 or whatever. One, I want to make sure I'm 100% right. And two, we're going to get there. So we're going to cover the book in the steps that it's meant to be covered in.
Okay.
So don't ask me what this planet has on it because, well, I have the atlas. I don't know. And this printing here, I don't know what printing they're actually on, but this printing right here is I guess the first printing. I tried to find an updated version of it that I didn't have to pay for since I already have this one, but I couldn't. So I don't know if I got this from Free League or what, but yeah, anyway. So we're going to go through the introduction right now, and then the next video is the characters. Look at that. Do you see that page 14 to 52?
That's a lot. That is a lot.
So let's breeze through the introduction so we can spend some time on page 52. On page 50, you know what I'm talking about. Ignore me. Except for what I'm about to... Here we go. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Introduction. There we go.
So welcome to Coriolis, the Third Horizon. In this role-playing game, you take on the role of adventurers traveling the stars. Now, this is all just how you play the game. So let's go down here. What do? You crew up a spacecraft. You explore the horizon. We will talk later about why it's called the Third Horizon. That is not important now. Just know that, yes, there are a first and a second, but they're not important at this point in time. Unravel secrets. This is a very good game for investigative type stuff. In fact, the main storyline quest, if you want to call it that, which, oh, by the way, is not in the book, Yay!
Ooh, yay, good job.
But it is 3 hardcovers I have sitting behind me that are almost as thick as this book.
Bad job.
No, it's a really good job. Other than the ending. The ending was really disappointing, but has you unraveling tons of secrets. So it's good for investigation, it's good for combat, it is good for all types of play that you'd want to do in outer space. Plot and scheme on board Coriolis. What is Coriolis? We'll talk about that later, but it's a space station. And carry out missions because you owe money on your ship. You start the game with a ship, yay! But you also owe a lot.
That is common in games made in the last, at least 10 years, where if you start off in space with a ship, you owe money. And that's the impetus for carrying out missions and making money. I thought making money was just, to get stuff, not to hold on to the stuff you have.
People
I just wish they would change that out.
Well, but people won't play. You and I look at things like that. Hell, I'll even go and shout out Shauner for a second. Shauner would be good with that with his traveler games. But most people, believe it or not, and this is in the conversations that I have on Friday night with the chat. This is conversation I have with people, just around. Well, if there's no impetus, why would I do that? I would just go around and make havoc everywhere. I'd just say screw everybody.
Well, still, fuel takes money, I suppose. Yeah, you still got to make money to, gas yourself up and get places. But, you don't have to be in hawk on your ship on day one.
Well, that's just the way this game starts. And I think it is a good trope. Not the only one that necessarily has to be out there, but it is a good trope just to start quickly get you. If you look at all the games that, not Modifius, Free League's done so far that we've covered, the Mutant series and this one, all of them have that kind of, how do I call it? Impetus. Holy crap. By the way, apparently Twitch creates ads on its own now. So we have an ad break coming up on Twitch. So sorry for anybody watching on Twitch that's getting an ad. But they all start with these, you owe something to somebody or you're in dire straits to keep you going forward. It's very simplistic. Yeah. You can always start it off however you want in some other way if you want, but it's intentional just to get you in the game and let's get going. That's the whole point. Right. So, carry out missions and then pray to the icons. That is going to be a huge focus of the game. Is who are these icons? What are they about? And unfortunately, you're not going to find out today, but we will get to that. I'm going to read this paragraph though. Icon worship is ever present in the third horizon. Through faith, the people find strength, and so will you. It's literally a game mechanic in the game. Watch my combat video. You will see all about that, or we'll get to it later. When darkness surrounds you and all hope seems lost, a desperate prayer to the icons can be what saves your lives.
Yes, I remember this a little bit. I mean, I hate forced, gods like forced on the players, because most of the time gods either screw with you or don't do anything for gameplay. But in this game, praying to the gods has immediate results. Something happens to you, most likely good.
Well, it's literally, this is how you push your roll. It's how you push your roll in this game.
Yeah. You get tangible benefit, immediate tangible benefit, not like oh, well, in 10 years, I'll give you a blessing, or just wait till you die. Oh, it'll be great. Like, come on, man. These ones actually do something immediate. So I like them better. And
also, if you pray at a chapel before you go into combat or go do something,
buff.
Yeah, you'll get for something very specific. But yes. All right. So, what is Coriolis in a nutshell? Arabian Nights in Space. Coriolis world is inspired by Middle Eastern culture rather than a Western one. This I would dump. Again, not because I don't like it, but because I can't do it properly, and I don't want to force it. Just to be fair, if we were playing a Firefly role-playing game, I would dump the Chinese stuff as well, other than maybe something in the background, because I can't do it properly. So that's, you like that concept though. Absolutely, it's what the game's about. Food, music and fashion, as well as religion, philosophy, and literature. Most importantly, myths and folktales taken from Middle East, deeply entwined with the spirit of the game world. Well, guess how many of those I know?
0.
Yeah. The third horizon is a world where ancient myth meets high technology. Old versus new. This is actually a very core construct of the game. You are going to find this conflict all over the place. A central theme to Coriolis is the conflict between the First Come, the Horizon's earliest settlers, and the Zenithians, descendants to the second wave of colonists arriving aboard the Zenith. Now, the funny thing about that, though, is the Zenithians actually launched first.
They just had slower ships?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, to make it simplified, yeah. Although the first command already established their culture throughout the horizon when Zenith arrived, the Zenithians have grown to dominate more and more in the last decades through trade, hostile expansion, and colonization. Zenithians' cultural imperialism is a key factor in the conflict between the Consortium, the Zenithian faction, and the First Come Order of the Pariah. And we will talk about factions much later on, but I do have a cheat sheet video that already goes through them as an overview. Mysticism and icon worship. Here it is again. Worship of the icons permeates everything in the world of Coriolis. The religion is the smallest common denominator for peoples of the Third Horizon. While faith is strongest with the First Come, especially so amongst the ranks of the Church of the Icons. I mean, hell, it has the name Church right in there, right? And the Order of the Pariah, again, kind of sounds, religious. The recently arrived Zenithians have too converted to worshiping the icons in large, get back over here, in large numbers. The levels of religious commitment varies from the superstitious hauler crew praying to the traveler before a portal jump to missionaries zealously devoted to the holiest of struggles, saving the horizon, one soul at a time. Now, Ethan Dog.
Have you met the icon? Here. This is the watch station.
The watch station. Do you remember the Doom mechanic of Conan 2D20 or Dark
Yes.
Symmetry okay. I said way back then, and I'm going to repeat it now. The dark between the stars is very similar to that mechanic.
Okay.
There are some differences, but instead of something immediately happening to the players, when you pray to the icons, push your roll, now the game master gets points to use against you. And the reason that is because we haven't talked about the tools of the trade yet, which is the dice for Coriolis are actually different than the Mutineer Zero dice. And I forgot to grab them, but I'll show them off in a moment. Dark between the stars. The omens have foretold it, and the clergy have preached it for a long time now. The dark between the stars. The unspeakable, corrupting force at work in the intersection between civilization and the endless nothingness of space seems to be real. In Coriolis, the dark between the stars plays roughly the role as the devil in Earth's Christianity. I actually liken it to the dark side of the Force. I think it's a little bit more apt representation. But
because wait, does it have a physical manifestation like a single leader?
Theoretically, it can. Well, no,
can?
not as a leader. It's more of a, but it can have a physical manifestation, say like the Passions of Earthdawn.
Okay.
It definitely look. You remember Event Horizon?
Sure.
There you go. Dark between the stars.
Okay. Got it.
As one example,
in
not
my
the
head,
only example.
I was thinking more Legend with Tom Cruise with the Tim, what's his name, playing the devil.
I haven't seen that, and so it's Tim Burton.
Darkness.
Not Tim Burton. Crap. Yeah. It's been so long since I saw that movie. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking that, but okay. All right. This makes sense.
it gives a couple of examples. Of course, it gives Firefly as an example to watch to get an idea. Just change the Chinese to Arabian. Revelation, Space, and its sequels are some books to read. And Alien by Ridley Scott, which I find really odd considering it has an Alien game. But of course, when this was written, that wasn't Alien wasn't a game in Free League's repertoire yet. So apparently that fits in perfectly. Tools of the game. This is typical RPG stuff. I'm sorry, if you really want to know, you've never played an RPG before, well, I'll leave that on the screen for a second, but ultimately we're going to skip that. The Third Horizon. This is where things are going to be either exciting or boring for you because we got a bit of reading to do.
Okay.
This is the history. The Third Horizon, commonly just the Horizon, consists of 36 star systems joined through space and time by mystic portals. The Horizon of today is a melting pot of different cultures, peoples, and factions. If you've watched Stargate the last couple of seasons with the Ori, and they had those big gates that would go all over the place, like in space, where the ships could fly through, the space gates, there we go. That's similar to what you have here. It's not around every planet. I don't think it's around every planet. Let me be careful.
Is it really mystic? Is it magic?
They don't know how it works.
Well, that doesn't mean anything.
Well,
okay.
well, No, not spoilers, actually. I don't think they actually describe it in this book. Many hundreds of years ago, two colossal colonization vessels left Earth. Their names are Zenith and Nadir. Destination, the star Aldebaran. And by the way, that is an Arabic name. The crews lived their lives aboard these ships through centuries of deep space travel. One of the ships, the Nadir, was lost somewhere in the darkness during the voyage without leaving any trace. Bye-bye. The Zenith continued alone, and after traversing the empty void, finally reached its destination. But the humans on board discovered that they were not the first to arrive in the third horizon. They arrived in an already colonized cluster of star systems linked by ancient portals. A long time after the departure of the Zenith, the ruling powers of Earth had discovered one of these portals and threw it a shortcut to what became known as the Third Horizon. So you're all taking the long way, the scenic route going.
I would have been super pissed.
They were
super pissed. I lived my entire life on this ship. My dad lived his entire
generations.
life on this ship. My grandpa lived his entire life on this ship. My great-great-grandpa boarded this ship. And I didn't have to do that. I just had to wait like 5 minutes, and you would have found a teleporter. It's war. Just because I'm ornery.
Mankind had discovered a remnant from a highly advanced culture, which they named the Portal Builders. It's not the Gate Builders at all.
No.
The portals opened the way for humanity to travel the stars, and a new golden age began. Colonization vessels sought out distant stars, establishing the first and second horizons. Finally, the third horizon was reached, and it became a haven for radicals and free thinkers from the first two horizons. There is some history behind the first two horizons. I don't know if we're going to cover that, but it'll be later. It'll be weeks down the road.
I have a problem with the structure of the book now, because at first it touched on first, second, third horizon, but you didn't really need to know. But now it's explaining the order of them and stuff, but I still don't know what they mean. I still don't know what they are.
Okay. Earth-like worlds were discovered and colonized, massive places and temples erected, civilization slowly spread across the third horizon. Portal wars. Eventually, the first horizon wanted to reclaim the systems that had freed themselves. Okay, now you're starting to get that information. The newborn separatist powers, headed by the Order of the Pariah, resisted and war broke out. The slaughter lasted for several years, but ended when the star fleets of the Third Horizon finally wiped out the First Horizon's lackeys, a faction called the Sacrifice of Nazarim, and closed all portals to the other horizons. The Third Horizon is locked in its own space. You can't get there anymore through the other portals. So first,
you can take a slow boat, I'm sure, but
yeah, but that'd be slow boat. Call me in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
The terrible war left in its wake remnants of once great armadas. Oh, that slides over too far. Wait, what? Okay, zoom it out. Where am I? There we go. Rifts in the fabric of space-time, and cities, whole planets even scorched and destroyed.
Wow.
Zenith. When the silence after the war was at its deepest, Zenith finally arrives to the third horizon. So everybody's, rebuilding. It's, it's like 1950 after World War II kind of stuff. And then this colony ship comes in. Hey, we made it.
What are you all doing here?
Yeah, right. And you look like you're in some what happened? The massive Ark ship found its original destination already colonized by the lords and emirs of Dabaran. After traveling the war-torn horizon, Zenith decided on the cluster's central system, Kua. You're like, hey, we're going to float around, we're going to go right to the middle, buddy.
Yep.
Kua as its new home. However, a mutiny aboard soon divided the crew. Captain's family fled the ship and settled on the planet Kua's surface below. The remaining colonists cannibalized the ship, rebuilding it into the great space station Coriolis, and declared a new era in the third horizon, a time of trade, reawakening, and peace.
That actually makes sense. That makes perfect sense. Nobody alive on that ship knows any other life at all. And everyone's here. They got planets claimed. I don't want to be bound to a gravity well. I don't need that nonsense. I've spent my entire life in space. Let's just make this ship into a space station. We can orbit a planet, take resources from it if we need to, trade with everyone to get money. That way we are not under attack for being interlopers. We're actually giving a service to our neighbors. They're less likely to want to kick us out immediately. It's a good plan. I like the plan.
Okay. Zenithians in the first come. Descendants of the crew of the Zenith call themselves Zenithians, while the peoples of the first colonization wave call themselves the first come. Not the first, but they have to say first come because they got there first. They came there first, but they weren't actually launched first. So, I have to have that little distinguish. As they view themselves as the Horizon's original settlers. Among the latter, however, many have begun identifying as Zenithians, despite not being blood related to the crew of the Zenith. This is most common among those who regard themselves as progressive and who share the Zenithians' practical take on the icons and life in general. The center of the Third Horizon is the Kua system, where the space station Coriolis orbits the green jungles of the planet Kua. The system is also home to the burning hot planet Lubao. I hope that's right. I don't even care. The acidified Gina, the asteroid belt, the gas giant Xene, the ice planet Sura, and farthest out, an outer asteroid belt where only one of the 9 sectors is inhabited. Most of the system's inhabitants live on the planet Kua. There. Many dwell close to an ancient wonder left behind by the portal builders. If you're wondering why I'm not skipping any of these dumb paragraphs, it might seem like they're whatever. It's because
they're all like seeded with information that's going to be required later.
Right, exactly. A giant monolith made habitable by the Zenithians, or in the industrial conglomerate that stretches along the planet's equator. So we got factions. When the Zenithians founded Coriolis, they sent word to all the major powers in the Third Horizon to come to the space station and set up a council for peace and trade. The invitees became known as factions. Really, they became known as that? They were like that's a hard leap. I mean, you italicized that. I mean, that was a hard leap somehow. And the council, a force for peace and commerce.
Well, theoretically.
Albeit some conflicts remained unresolved. The council's factions of today are the Consortium, a group of powerful corporations. Again, I have a video that dives a little more, it's an overview, but dives into them a little more. The Zenithian Hegemony, the descendants of the captain's family aboard the Zenith. The Free League, which, by the way, just so you guys know, is the reason that the company is named Free League. The Free League from Coriolis is the reason the company's named Free League. Well, how can you say that it wasn't the first game? This is not the first iteration of the game Coriolis. So the Free League, Union of Free Traders, the Mercenaries of the Legion, the Secretive Draconites, I always forget about them, the Divine Iconocrats of the Order of Pariah, Alam's Temple with its courtesans and philosophers. Think, what's her name in Firefly? I can't think of her name. Marina Baccarin's character.
Yeah. I forget her name too.
Yeah, okay. And lastly, the People's Church, the Church of the Icons. 2 additional groups are regarded as factions, although they are not represented at the council, and that's the criminal network, the Syndicate. I guess, when you're the mob, you get to have some power and a name. And the Nomads and the Nomad Federation. Tradition divides the council into Zenithian, the first 4 factions mentioned above, and the First Come factions, the 4 latter. The Syndicate is usually considered Zenithian, and the Nomad Federation, First Come. Now, I don't expect everybody to remember that. We will go over factions in a few weeks.
Well, the Nomad Federation is almost as ridiculous a name as I don't know, the Hermit Confederacy.
Yeah, sometimes things are translated from other languages, though. That might be how it translates from either Arabic or Swedish, depending on how they looked at it in the game. So I don't know. As the Third Horizon had just begun to blossom again, and the harmony had returned to the Council of Factions, the peace was suddenly broken. From the depths of the gas giant Xene rose the faceless emissaries, specters. They are actually ghost-like creatures from another world. Are they the icons or portal builders? We don't know. The theories about their origins are many. By the way, the 3-part campaign that I talked about answers that question for you, and I am not going to spill it.
Oh,
nope. Theories about their origin are many. The emissaries demanded a seat at the council and got one. If you're floating through space and coming from a gas giant, I'm probably going to say, yes, you can sit at the table.
Well, it depends. I'd shoot him once to see if it works. If it doesn't, yeah, okay, come on in.
Fair enough, okay. One of the emissaries claimed itself as the incarnation of the icon, the Judge. So basically, an avatar.
Yeah.
To which the Order of the Pariah cried sacrilege and closed their home system to all travel.
Wow. Wait. This one ephemeris being that you have no idea what he says, I'm the avatar of one of your gods. And the whole civilization went, no, I'm out. And just shuttered everything?
Well, imagine it this way: if you're Islamic, somebody came and said, "Hey, I'm the reincarnation of Muhammad." Or imagine if you're Christian and somebody sat on the United Nations and said, "I am Jesus' second coming," and Rome said, "Screw you, we're out."
Okay,
Or Constantinople, if you're
pull away from anyone who accepts that, I understand, but shutter your entire civilization from everyone else because one guy said something stupid. Way to take your ball and go home, bitch. I mean, come on.
You're probably ready to do that anyway. So, new age of shadows and suspicion has dawned, and the peoples of the horizon all wonder, what is the true agenda of the emissaries?
To take everything you have and burn it to the ground. That's how it works.
Or
you never trust aliens.
Well, you're the alien here, technically. Today, new conflicts are flaring up, and old ones are emerging again in the horizon. The intrigue surrounding the factions thickens, and matters usually settled with a signature or handshake are now taken to the battlefield. First come revolts against the Zenithian factions, particularly the Consortium, are erupting everywhere. The factions fight each other in proxy wars through rebel forces, mercenaries, corsairs, and toll ships. It's Russia and the it's America and the Soviet Union. In the midst of all this chaos, a new phenomenon has come to light in the horizon. People are suddenly showing signs of powers, said to be reserved for the icons themselves. Yes, there is a hint of magic in this game. I stress the word hint.
Okay. Or super psychic powers.
Or super psychic powers, right? Yeah. They can tell the future, see things worlds away, and even conjure up fire from empty air. These new mystics are a dangerous element to the rest of the population as they are not yet in full control of their powers. These powers are brand new. If you think you're going to come to this game and just play a mage from Dungeons and Dragons or some sort of psychic being from Rifts, no. This is more like having magic in Call of Cthulhu. No, that's not quite right.
That's horrible. Don't do that.
Possibilities. The new era does, however, bring with it many new opportunities for adventurers like you and your group, trading with far-off systems, solving conflicts with your trusty Vulcan carbine, because, why not? Spying on shady corporations or factions, escorting travelers and pilgrims, delivering important messages as couriers, or searching for secrets in the ruins of old, be it the remnants of the portal builders or the looming wrecks from the portal wars. All this and much more is at your feet in Coriolis, the Third Horizon. And before anybody poo-poos the whole nomadic concept of the game, because that is actually a pretty thick concept, you will find that some of the best information comes from the nomads, because guess what they do? They're like the gypsies of this.
They go everywhere. They listen.
Yes.
That's the thing. But what I like so far in this intro, there are so many ways that the player character group can play the game.
Mm-hmm.
You can play it like Firefly, where you're, picking up things, dropping them off, legal, illegal, doesn't matter as long as we get paid type thing. Or it's really set up also for a political game, where you can actually live on Coriolis and be attached to one of the factions, or be a Zenithian and be a moderator or a mediator or a troubleshooter of some kind. Where you investigate things for the council. That can be done too. And that's just two off the top of my head. But this opening introduction leaves a whole lot open, and I really like that. I like that a lot.
There is actually enough to explore where, even though there are only 36 worlds, so what page is it? 16? Okay. Let's go to that map for a second. There are only 36 worlds, but there's still enough to explore. Remember, even in the Kua system right here in the center, that asteroid belt is only 1/9 inhabited.
Right. And there's 36 systems, not worlds. There's there's a whole bunch of planets. I mean, a lot of them you can't go to or wouldn't want to spend a lot of time on, like Acid Planet and Fire Planet. Probably not a great vacation spot, but stuff can be hidden there. I mean, these portals are how many thousands and millions of years old? Who knows, man? It didn't say. But if they're millions of years old, then a million years ago, that planet wasn't covered in fire, or that planet wasn't covered in acid, and we left stuff down there. You could do that. It's great. I love it.
Now, to be fair, each of these systems, I think, is habited. I haven't read the Atlas in a long time.
That's habitable, right?
I think. And they're under certain faction controls also. But like you said, play the politics game. You can play an exploration game. Some people might consider it boring, but I mean, I've seen other science fiction games do it exactly what you said. You can spend your time on Deep Space. Coriolis.
Or
You can
Babylon
do
5, whatever.
or
You
Babylon
want to
5, right? You can do all of that. Actually, Babylon 5 might even be a little bit more apt. So all of that, and you could play a survival based game where you find a world that you are nomad and want to inhabit, where the universe is kind of happening around you, because there are things happening in the universe that will eventually affect you, and how to deal with those. You honestly could use this as your everyman game. Now you'd have to do a little effort. You'd have to, think it through a little bit, but it does not just have to be shooty or merchant like everybody likes to do in science fiction games. So, all right, show me some chat before we get to the next one, and then
here we go. Here's the first one. Heathen Dog says, "Wait till you die; it'll be great." Ha ha ha! Yeah, something like helps during the game tends to improve the fun. Yeah, that's the icons. They actually have immediate benefit if they answer your prayer, which they usually do, and they have a long-term buff benefit, which he's gonna get into later. That if you pray at a shrine to a specific icon for a specific thing, you will get a buff to that thing for a determinate period of time. It's really good stuff, and it really makes the gods more real. Whereas in other games, they're there, but their presence is so not often felt that what does it matter? It doesn't really matter. Then we have Revolutionary Principle Gaming. The people of Free League must be quite familiar with Middle Eastern culture since they're Swedish. Yeah, you know what? They wanted to make a game with a different flavor, and they chose the Middle East as a culture base.
Well, a lot of Middle East has moved to Sweden too, is I think his point.
There you go. There it is.
There's one comment, I don't know if you have it highlighted, but Halcyon Ace says, I think The Expanse does it best of political intrigue, mystery, and combat. You could do The Expanse in this. I'd say my only caution with that is The Expanse only has, 3 real factions in it, if I remember correctly, maybe 4.
Yeah.
This has 8. Well, eight big ones and then some middle ones. But yeah, you could do The Expanse in this as well, just with more system. I mean, considering that's just Earth, that's just one system. Now imagine 36 systems.
Right. And we have Rex Teal saying, so most Free League games start you off with a bit of power, but then your immediate goal is to give back to whomever gave you that power so you can keep it. Yeah, I mean, if you start off in debt, you're working for somebody else without working for somebody else. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's
to keep you going.
Yeah, it's to keep you going, but there are other ways to do it that wouldn't make me feel as dirty. But I understand where they're coming from.
You're an experienced game master, right?
Yeah.
So you can make it however you want.
Exactly. Yes, you can change it. I would say, hey, the captain of the ship, his entire family died. There was a life insurance settlement or some kind of accident settlement, and you got enough to buy a ship. It's yours free and clear, but you got to get food, you got to get water, you got to get fuel, all that stuff to keep you going. Yeah. And Per says, Tim Curry. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's what we were forgetting. He played the darkness. Nerdy Ogre says, like the gates around Phase World. I don't know if they're immediate travel. Are they instantaneous on these space gates?
You know what? I got to be honest. I don't remember either.
Okay. Well, if it's instantaneous or all but instantaneous, then yeah. I mean, but they work both ways. So. In Phase World, you could get to Phase World, but you're on your own to get back. But
the other thing is, I don't think that there's a portal at every world. I think there's a portal at most.
Horribly expensive.
At some world, but remember, they didn't create them. I think there's a portal at some worlds, not at every world, if I remember correctly as well. Again, that'll be stuff that we will get into later, but that might be a few weeks down the road.
Okay, and that's it.
All right. So if you like that introduction, like I said, we're gonna focus a little heavier on this than we did with the previous Free League games, because this has a lot of interest. So we're gonna be spending a little bit more time on some of the specifics on what the book says. But if you guys like this introduction to Coriolis, the Third Horizon, I cannot wait to do character creation. Again, some of this is already out there. Go look at our playlist for that, and you can get some more overviews of Coriolis if that's all you're looking for. But till then, boop. Like, subscribe, and share. Oh my God, did we not have this up there? Again, how do they know it's not segment 1? That could have been segment 7. You never know.
They don't know.
All right, with that, like, subscribe, share. Appreciate your time, and look forward to you joining us in the character creation video.